Alright, what's up guys? I'm on the part of my build where I got to start working on the brakes. I got the calipers mounted, new rotors, everything, master cylinder bolted up, but now I have to worry about the brake lines. So I don't want to go with rigid tubing, have to bend that in place, fit it to everything. It's kind of difficult to work and especially make it look good. So I decided to go with some braided stainless. This is actually a Teflon inside tube with a stainless steel outer jacket, and this is PVC coated. So you kind of protect it from the stainless. This stuff will pinch you if it's unarmored. But I guess we'll get into, this isn't a how-to, it's more of a how I did it. I've done a couple of them already, just figuring it out. But I figured I'd document what I got going on and keep y'all in the loop. Quick breakdown of everything. I got the braided stainless line, a cutoff wheel, cut it to length, a little vise to hold it in place, and razor blade so I can cut the jacketing off, and a little bit of heat shrink to clean up the install, and a couple wrenches. These are -3, 3AN, AN3, whatever you want to call them. It's 3/16 of an inch. -3, 3 is the number of sixteenths. Guess we'll get in a little closer and start working. Okay, quick breakdown of what we got going on first before we get into it. This is the braided stainless, Teflon tube inside, and you can see it's got the jacket on the outside here. This is PVC, I think. Here is our fitting, 90-degree AN fitting, and you can see taking the nut off. Careful with it. They got a ferrule or an olive. This actually holds everything in place under compression, and this is just the threads that the nut affixes to, just like that. But in order to put all this together, you got to be able to get this nut over the sleeve. So you can see this one's already cut, and the stainless jacketing is frayed out. Can't put the nut on here. So we'll go ahead, cut this to length, strip the jacket back, install the nut, install the ferrule, and then put the fitting in. And hopefully everything goes to plan. We'll see what happens. Okay, clamp down to the vise, get my earplugs in, and put some gloves on. Alright, so you can take a look inside there. The end is a little dirty. I like to go ahead, clean that up. So take a little pilot bit and not get too aggressive. Just go in there, clean out that little bit of tube that's kind of laid over in there. Nice and cleaned out. Should be good to go. Before I get too far ahead and I forget, let's go ahead and install this heat shrink sleeve. We're going to need that later. So push it all the way back here so I don't forget about it. Okay, for this particular fitting, I found that it takes about 3/4 of an inch of stripping, which is about the height of a razor blade. And we'll go ahead and take that razor blade, walk it around. Be careful, don't slice at it. You don't want to slip off. Take your time, keep it aligned, just walk it around. And then you're going to have to push away and slice through. This stuff's on there pretty good. I found a little bit of heat goes a long way. So let's warm this up, get it going. Not too crazy, you don't want to melt anything. Yeah, I got my finger behind here, so it's obviously not too hot. That should be enough to get it moving. And if I can find where I cut it. There we go. Oh yeah, it's super soft now. And work it around. Ooh, I did not cut all the way through with the razor blade. Alright, take your time, keep peeling it around, and I'm pulling it away towards the end here because this stainless wants to fray out by itself. Want to prevent that as much as possible so you can try to get that nut on here. So looks pretty good. Still going to fight us though. So go ahead and push those strands down in there. Give it a little twist. Pops right on. And those strands are interfering with the threads, so you can't just go ahead and push it on. I'm going to give it a little twist. It's going to work itself down in there. Don't get in a rush. It'll work out. Cool. So we have our nut on there. Our heat shrink is back here. And now we're ready to put the ferrule or the olive, whatever you want to call it. We're able to put that on. I bought this little tool, Russell, I think. Can't remember exactly. I'll put the link or put the name down in the description for reference. But this helps spread out the stainless strands. Don't really need it on this one because it pretty much pops itself open. But, you know, it's good to have, I guess. So, all right. We got good clearance all the way around. We want to keep all those strands out. We don't want to interfere with the ferrule as it's trying to be installed. And all right, we're starting to go. And I guess you can use this tool to help align and then push it nice and gently. Is that going? I can't tell. It is not going. All right. Let's try pushing it against the table. That's worked in the past. Oh, I'm pushing the table. And I'm moving everything. All right. Try this again. Why are my wheels not locked? Yeah, maybe I'll just push down. Oh, that's pretty easy. All right. I don't know if this will focus. Yeah, you can kind of see in there. The inside plastic Teflon tube is seated along the inside ridge of this ferrule, so we're good to go. We're going to take our fitting body here, and this is stainless on stainless. I really don't like the possibility of stainless galling. Happens pretty easy. So I'm going to take some Loctite Never Sees, put a little bit on there just to help possibly prevent it from getting stuck. And this stuff, highly suggest. It's not like that tub of Never Sees where it gets everywhere. Like, you can touch this, it's not making a mess. Like, you would never do that with regular Never Sees. I mean, I'm not even worried about it. So, pick up some of that. Amazon, it's like 20 bucks. All right. Now we're popping our fitting in, guiding it in nice and slow. Don't want to get in a bind, and it feels like it's in a bind. Let me double check that. Okay, so it's popping. I really don't want to kink it sideways if you're pushing too hard. I did on the previous one and had to redo it. There we go. Went ahead, popped on. Now that our fitting is installed, our ferrule's on, our braided stainless is over, our nuts here, we can go ahead, start pushing our nut forward. That stainless is going to get captured and start pushing the body on. You don't want to pull the ferrule off because it will pop off. So you just got to be careful, making sure it is not feeding itself out as you're tightening it. Everything's looking pretty good so far, and that is pretty tight. You can see we have about 1.5 threads exposed. I like to hide those threads. That way you know it's pretty tight. It's a little awkward here. There we go. And it's getting tight. I can feel it snugging up, and that is pretty good. I'm not worried about the angle of this 90 right now because I am able to clock it. So it'll spin whichever direction. It's a good thing about these fittings. I think they're made by, yeah, Frigola. Pretty good stuff. Fittings on, everything's tight. Go ahead, slide our heat shrink on. All this does is clean everything up, keep anything from getting up in here. Mostly aesthetics, I guess. And this is 3/8 heat shrink. And the fitting is about 3/8 of an inch. So it's a little difficult. It's gonna fight me a little bit here. All right, and we're good. Popped on, hit it with some heat. See what it looks like. Oh yeah, that's nice. Hell yeah. Now all I gotta do is knock out the other end, and we'll do a pressure test. I got this little hydraulic manifold. I can hook this up to, I got a hydraulic pump for my pipe bender, and I got various size A-end fittings, a couple -3, a 4, and a 6, 2,000 pound gauge. We're working with a manual brake setup, so I'm estimating probably about 1,000 PSI at most when I am pressing those brakes. So, and you definitely don't want to have one of these blow out. So it wouldn't hurt. Take the extra time, do a pressure test on it, make sure nothing pops off, no leaks, nothing weird, and keep us safe down the road. Alright, so I got my passenger side front going from the ABS module right down to the caliper. Go ahead, and I guess I'll start loading some pressure up in here. I do have this fitting cracked, so I can clear out all the air in the system. And yeah, you definitely don't want air in your hydraulic system when you're trying to do a pressure test. But it's going to get pretty loud, so probably won't be able to hear anything, but should be able to see the gauge start wrapping up. And hopefully everything stays dry. I'll go grab a towel real quick. Okay. And flip the pump on. It's not too loud, but now we'll go ahead, hopefully slowly start pumping this pressure up. These are tight. And cool, air's out of the system. Go ahead and lock this bad boy down. Oh, wrong. I'm confused. Give me a second. Okay. Okay, everything's cleaned up, no residual oil, and we'll slowly start bumping this pressure up. Ooh. No such thing as slowly. Okay, so I am back pressure, I am leaking pressure back into the pump. I really should have a block valve on here, but you can see there's no fluid anywhere. Everything is still dry. 1,000 pounds, if we had a leak, it'd be coming out. So, I'd say that's one good brake line. Drop the pressure, kill the pump, and this one's done. And of course it's full of hydraulic fluid, but we'll get that out of there. Cool. And should be it. All the fluid's out. Blast it with some air. And that's a wrap. Time to get these things thrown in the car. And on to the next part. So got the whole front of the Jeep tore apart. Pretty much just easy access. You can see I got the ABS module mounted here. Had to make a little bracket. Should be pretty good though. Just a little piece of kind of angle plate. Should work. But you can see I got lines already ran coming back along the frame rail, along above. Can you even see in there? All right, and then along the back by the firewall and master cylinder back there somewhere. So you can see I already got lines ran here. Made those up. Those were kind of my test runs, and they did pretty good. Oops. And I didn't put heat shrink on that, but the other ends aren't made up yet, so we'll get to that later. Anyway, this is the driver front. Wait, I'm backwards. This is the passenger front. Going to be going here to there. Short run, little guy. That's the one I made up on the bench. So, all I got to do, one-handed. It's not that easy. We'll see. It's going to fight me. Try to get. It's got this weird angle to it. Okay, there we go. Yeah. All right. Started. It's going pretty good. Cool. Spin it around in place. It's going to be running along here, and you can see I have like an extra foot. Reason behind that, I'm not sure if this is going to be a permanent mounting spot. I may have to drop it down to the side of the rail. Still got to stay out of the way of the tire, but I'm worried headlight's going to be about right here, and then eventually, I don't know, I just don't want to block anything that could be on the front. So that may have to be moved down to the side there, or even down lower. Trying to leave enough service loop, enough slack that I can put this just about wherever if I do need to relocate it. So just going to put a loop here and drop it down in there. Then take that slack and I'll end up putting a couple more, putting a couple clips there, strap it down, and we'll deal with that extra slack, later on. I don't really like that angle. End up having to clock that around a little bit. Either way, that's good to go. That's one complete brake line. And you can see, I already got the driver's side. It's routed along the back, come along the frame rail, and tucked right there. This one is the driver front. Slide that down and cooperate. There we go. That's it. It's going to be all tied together, secured, heat shrink, not heat shrink, but a heat sleeve, and secured to upper strut tower. Keep it out of the way, away from the exhaust manifold, then up along the back there. Should be good to go. Let's go take a look inside at the manual brake setup. It's hot in here. Okay, and here's our brake setup. Yeah, brake pedal switch. It's working now. Here's our master cylinder. And here's my ratchet wrench that is stuck. I can't get it off. But either way, here's our fittings. We're going to be running these two black lines into the master cylinder. And that'll be about it. But brake pedal works. Just got to bolt that down a little bit, reinforce it. You can see we've got some flex as I'm pushing. It's not good, but once I reinforce everything, it'll be all right. All right, so car's up on the lift and pretty much finished running the brake lines. You can see our ABS module up here. Lines running down the frame rail and swooping down here. This is kind of the factory routing of where the brake lines, fuel lines, everything went. Got everything just taped in place. It's easy to work with right now, pretty quick, temporary solution. I am going to have to figure out some type of securing coming off of these studs or actual riv nuts or something. Figure that out eventually. But you can see, got it routed up, frame rail, got a service loop here coming into, that's where the factory fitting joins in and goes down to the caliper. Nothing's tight yet. Everything's still just temporary. I don't want to fill the system yet. Don't want to tighten anything down because inevitably I'm going to have to take something apart. That one's tight. All right, but looking pretty good so far. I think this is the first time I've been all the way under the car. I am always nervous of my lift. Just, you know, it's it's kind of sketchy, but she's doing all right. Yeah, you can actually get a good look at everything. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. Up underneath here. Rear diff. Rust. And, oh yeah, you can see we got half a drive shaft. I went and talked to a shop yesterday. Finally found someone who's going to attempt to shorten the back half here. It's a CV style. So instead of the typical U-joint, it's a CV joint for the drive shaft. And pretty much no one will touch them. But I found a shop, they're going to go for it, see if it'll work. If not, I'll have to get a one piece. Or we'll figure something out. Yeah. First time really looking around. Also, the exhaust will not fit. It's hitting the frame there. I just tried mocking that up. It's hitting on both sides. Right here. So, I'm going to have to trim that down. Should be able to make it work. But other than that, looking pretty good. I mean, ooh, sitting a little low. But yeah, there she is. It's a whole lot of car. I think that's going to wrap this video up. Brakes are pretty much complete. Lines are ran. I just got to fill the system, prime it all, get all the air out. That'll be no problem once I get there. Up next, I'm going to be going after the fuel lines. I got to figure out fuel pump situation, getting the lines ran. I have to make a fuel cell also. Wow. Yeah. Fuel cell, fuel pump, lines, getting it up to the intake manifold, fuel rails, all that. But I'll pick that up in the next video. As always, thanks for liking, thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.